What's up? In today's video, I'm going to be doing a bit of a different video for Arena Breakout. I'm going to give you guys my personal weapon tier list for this game. As you can see here, this list has basically every single gun inside of the game, and I'm going to rank them from S through D, so make sure you stay through this entire video. Again, these are my opinions, but I definitely am interested to hear what you guys have for your opinions on S tier, A tier, B tier, C tier, and D tier weapons. Which ones do you think are the best? Which ones do you think are the worst? I'm also going to leave a link to this down in the description below if you guys do want to do this yourself. But without further ado, we're just going to get right into this. I think what I want to do first is just kind of get all of these pistols into the C tier, because pistols in this game obviously aren't bad, but they are going to be a secondary resort if your first gun doesn't have ammo. So basically all of these pistols are going to, especially this one, I hate this one, that one may just go to D tier just because all the pistols basically in this game are going to be C tier in my opinion, because they're never going to be something that you use unless you are playing covert. But other than that, I highly doubt you will ever be running a pistol only inside of the game unless you're doing a challenge. However, I did leave the deagles out because the deagles are a little bit better, obviously, than the rest of the pistols in the game. The deagles, honestly, can't go wrong with either one. Obviously, the gold one's a little bit better, but they both one-tap faces, and also it's like a 1 or 2 bullet difference. So for some of these guns, I'm kind of not going to give too much of an explanation just because it should be self-explanatory as to why it's there, but SKS goes to D tier. Obviously, if you use SKS, I am very proud of you, but me personally, I cannot do it. Same goes for the Mosin. It is probably the worst sniper in the game. It's not terrible, but in my opinion, I don't think I would ever use this over the AR-30 or even the AX-50. So the AK-102 is going to go to B tier because it's not the worst gun in the game. It's an AR, but the ammo on it is absolutely atrocious in my opinion. You can't really have the best ammo unless you have to use 995s, which is actually an issue that Pills also has with this gun. The most expensive ammo is going to be the one that really does good damage for this gun. The rest of them are kind of trash. That ammo is very expensive to actually get in the game, so it's going to fall right in the middle for me. Going to get some of these S tiers out of the way just because it's kind of obvious why they're there. The RPK, pure meta in the game. FAL is still the best cheap gun in the game. It's around 40k for a good build, and the ammo is M80, so obviously the F2000, and this one might offend some people, but I'm going to throw that in B tier just because I personally don't use it a whole lot. I don't know too many people who do, but again, it's an AR and it is one of the more pricey ARs, so it's obviously going to be a little bit better. Like I said, I personally don't ever use this. I tried it like once or twice. I didn't really enjoy it too much, so I would have to say this is a mid gun. Again, if you guys disagree, let me know in the comments below. Getting some more terrible weapons out of the way. If you use these 3 guns, I salute you, because if you use any of these 3 guns right here, I absolutely salute you, because I personally would never be caught using it. Even in covert runs, I absolutely try to avoid this if I can. However, speaking of covert runs, a gun that is actually not terrible for covert runs is the MP40. Some of you guys are going to say this is absolutely not a B tier gun. I disagree. The main reason being, like I just said, it is one of the best covert guns in the entire game. Some of you might be saying, why didn't I make the Mosin a bit of a higher rank? And that's just because the Mosin requires you to actually be a good sniper, but the MP40 you can kind of just go in and spray and pray with it. This also applies exactly the same for the AK-74U. The AN-94 might offend some people where I put this, but I am going to have to say this is going to be a C tier gun. Before you question me, single fire, long ranges, I'm sure this, I personally have never used it in that scenario, but the fact that this is a burst gun actually got my buddy Pills killed one time on port, and it is also just in general, the fact that this is a burst is just absolutely very dangerous in certain gunfights. So it's basically a semi-auto rifle, and most of the other rifles in the category that the AN-94 isn't in shoot fully auto, so I would say those are better choices, at least in my opinion. The SS is a weird gun, and I'm going to rank this mid because it can be good, but it has to be used in the right scenarios. Highly recommend throwing an extended mag on in a very nice scope, and then that gun actually becomes decent. But other than that, this gun is not the greatest thing in the toolbox, and I personally don't ever really rock this gun. The first A tier gun is going to be the M110. Personally really like this gun, but it's not going to be for everyone. However, it does take some of the best ammo in the game, and it is probably the best budget long shotgun in the game. It is a little bit still pricey, obviously, but it is relatively on the cheap side, and you can get some insane snipes with this in up close. It's also not the worst. You obviously don't want to get caught up using this up close, but this can be a very, very good gun. A plethora of different instances. We're gonna get some more bad guns out of this way really fast. There is quite a few bad guns in the game. Obviously, they all kill relatively fast because it is a realism game, but at the same time, they still aren't the best options. I'm sure a lot of you guys expected this, but the MPX obviously is an S tier, but something that might shock a lot of you guys is that I'm also going to throw the MP5 in the same exact category. You might be wondering, why is it not down in the A tier? Best way I can explain this is that the MPX is going to be if you have a little bit of money, but the MP5 is going to be if you are absolutely broke. They're both god tier guns in their respective manners. The Dum Dum MP5 is absolutely one of the best combos that you can choose in the entire game for right now. It even stacks up against the M80 fouls. You just have to make sure that you hit them in their kneecaps. Some more A tier guns are the AR57 and the H4. I personally really like these guns. I don't rock them too much, but I did for a while use the AR57 on launch. And just recently I've been actually messing around with the H4 a little bit in this season, and it's been pretty fun to use. It's a little bit more accurate than the M4, a little bit more pricey as well, but that's what you're paying for, is the accuracy. Now, something that is going to maybe piss some of you guys off, maybe confuse some of you guys after what I just said, is the M4 is going to be S tier. Again, this is my opinion. If you disagree, let me know in the comments. I'm very interested to know your guys' opinions as well, but in my opinion, I think the M4 beats out the H4 just because it is way cheaper. You're obviously losing a little bit of accuracy, but you can make up for that with 1 or 2 attachments, and it basically is the H4 just cheaper. So you can't go wrong with either, but for right now, in my opinion, I would always just stick with the M4. Another B tier gun is going to be the AK-47 and the M14. To be completely honest with you, I actually don't hate either of these guns. It's just I don't ever use them. I don't really ever use them unless I'm running a covert, or if I'm using one of the battle cards that they give you for the auto gear, then I won't ever really use these guns. But again, they're not bad choices, especially if you are low on money. These two guns possibly could be some of the best guns in the game, especially the M14 as it is an M80 user. So highly recommend giving both of those a try, but me personally, I don't use them. The AR30 and the AX50 both are going to go into the S tier because the statistical backing behind these proves they are the absolute best gun in the game. It's just that you have to be very good with them and hit your shot. You have to know how to play like a sniper inside Arena Breakout, and playing like a sniper in AB is completely different from other shooters. Being able to use these guns is going to be very hard, but again, they are absolutely S tier because one-shot kills are an absolute blessing, especially in this game. The next gun that I was actually considering if it should be S tier or not, but it's going to be in the A tier, is going to be the MK14. This is different than M14. The MK14 is basically another version of the FAL. It is a reskin of the FAL. That's the best way that I could put it. I believe these are actually a little bit more expensive sometimes, so that's why I ranked it lower, but if you use this or the FAL, they are kind of the same exact guns. They both will get the job done very nicely, and again, these use M80s, and if you cannot tell yet, I really like using M80s. Going to get some more trash weapons out of the way here. These are all guns that you should absolutely steer clear of. It's a big list for the D tier, but these are all mainly covert guns that you spawn in with, so if you can get a kill with any of these, you're an absolute boss. Some more A tier guns are going to be the MDR and then the P90. These guns are just below meta, but again, they will slap just the same as the meta. This is a realism shooter, so people are going to die fast regardless of the gun you're using. And the P90 is absolutely one of the best guns in the game for close quarter combat, especially on armory. This gun is the same thing with the MDR. Again, I personally do not use either of these. I like the P90, I use that from time to time, but I never really use the MDR. But I am very much aware so that it is one of the best guns in the game to some people. These snipers, as well as the shotgun, are all going to go into C tier. They're just below mid in my opinion because they're not the best and they're not the worst in their class, but they absolutely are not viable. Again, if you're going to use the AR30 or the AX50, then there's no point to mess around with these snipers, and also the shotgun is only really worth it up at close ranges, and the only time you're going to really have this shotgun is as a covert, so you have to be very careful with this gun. Speaking on shotguns though, a gun that is Going in my mind between A and B tier is the USAS, and I think the USAS is probably an A tier gun just because up close it can do a 1 to 2 tap and it is going to fire very fast. It is the only fully auto shotgun in the game as far as I know, so this gun is going to be very, very good up close again, just like the P90. And again, if you are opening the armory doors, this gun actually might be one of the best bets to use because you will be able to mow them down extremely quickly. The Uzi is going to be a mid gun. It's not the best, again, it's not the worst. It's actually one of the better covert guns if you can get to spawn in with this. And the thing about this gun is that it also does take dum-dums, so it is somewhat equivalent to the MP5, but the MP5 is going to beat it out every single time. But if you are even more broke than to be able to afford the MP5, the Uzi might be a good choice for you. Same thing goes with the UMP45. These both are mid weapons. They're not going to be anything crazy, but if you absolutely are just beyond broke, try these guns out with dum-dums and they may be able to get you a few kills here and there. Last but not least, the M16. You guys are interested where I rank this. I personally am going to beat your gun because I think obviously they didn't intend this, but in my opinion, I think you should always flick this to a semi-auto mode and then just kind of use it as a sniper, put the 4x on there, something like that, and then just kind of take on longer range fights with this gun. But this gun is an absolute, and you can build it out, and it honestly won't be too expensive if you actually compare it to some of the other guns like the H4 and the RPK. So highly recommend the M16. It's one of the most slept on guns in video gaming history, and also in this game I think it's very slept on still, so definitely give it a try. Like I said, I will leave this linked in the description down below if you guys do want to go try this tier list out for yourself, see where you rank things. But again, if you guys want to argue with me about any of these guns, I am ready for it all day down in the comment section below. With that though, that is going to wrap up this video. You guys need to make sure to drop a like on it, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you later. Peace.